Hi guys, I hope everyone is having a great day because we are going to tackle a topic that I get asked all the time. I am Dr. Heather Moore, owner of Total Performance Physical Therapy. Tonight we are tackling the topic of flip-flops. Do they cause pain? And flip-flops, bare feet kind of go hand in hand. And it's summertime right now, so the flip-flop wearing has significantly increased. People are out and about and moving around. So let's talk about flip-flops. Can they cause pain? Can they cause ankle pain, hip pain, knee pain, back pain? The answer is yes. They can be the source of a lot of pain, and they feel really good on your feet. I get it. So it's hard to imagine that they would cause any pain, but they can be a very big contributor to plantar fasciitis, knee pain that just kind of suddenly comes on, hip pain, low back pain. If you have any of these things, you should not be wearing flip-flops until they are taken care of or they subside. So I, for one, have kind of given up flip-flops except for a short run here or there because they can cause a tremendous amount of pain, and you have to really be careful. So why do they cause so much pain? Why are they not good? And I will say that there are flip-flops that are better than others. So while there is not a perfect flip-flop, there are the orthopedic type of flip-flops which have an arch in them, which are better than just a regular flip-flop. Either way, it is still not the best shoe wear. So if you do have ankle pain, foot pain, knee pain, hip pain, back pain, you really should avoid bare feet flip-flops altogether. But let's talk about why that is. So when you're wearing a shoe, and not a shoe like I have on, not a flat shoe, but a sneaker, you actually have support. Sneakers are designed, and a lot of shoes today are designed to give you an arch support. They're designed to actually cushion your foot and give you support. And without that, your foot is left to kind of function on its own. So when you're dealing with flip-flops, you've kind of taken your foot and are using it the way that it is built. And a lot of us, most of us, don't have feet that function 100% correctly. So what happens is when you hit the ground in a sneaker, the sneaker is going to help control your foot so that the force transfers through your foot, through your hip, through your knee, up to your low back, and it gives it cushion and it gives it support. When you don't have that, it is up to your foot to now provide cushion and support. Our feet don't do that. So now the support or the cushion that the shoe would provide now has to be provided by the hip and the knee and the back. So if you're walking around, and a lot of you may not have pain when you're walking in flip-flops. That may not occur, but I get a lot of people who come up to me and are like, my knees are bothering me, I must be running more, or you're standing on concrete in flip-flops, and that's a major issue. So when you are walking, like for me, I have flat feet. Most of us don't have a nice inherent arch. Some of us do, but most of us have a flatter foot. What happens is when you actually go to walk and you don't have that support, you wind up walking and your knee is actually collapsing in. So your knee is collapsing in, your hip is collapsing in, and your back is now collapsing in. Now that's a very gross representation of exactly what's happening, but that's exactly what's happening. And on top of that, now your foot has nothing to absorb the shock of walking on concrete or walking on sand or whatever you're walking on. It doesn't matter the surface. Obviously sand's a little bit softer than concrete, but whatever surface you're walking on, your foot flip-flops offer no shock absorption, so now your foot has to absorb it. But it's not really set up properly to absorb it, so now it's going to come up to your knee. Now your knee's absorbing some of that shock. Now your hip's absorbing some of that shock. And now your back is absorbing some of that shock. So every single time you take a step, you're in this sort of position. Now if you have a natural arch, that's great. But that also means that you have even less shock absorption than someone who has no arch. So every time you hit the ground in your flip-flop, you're actually putting a significant amount of force, multiple times your body weight through your foot. So now your foot has to absorb it, now your knee has to absorb it, now your hip has to absorb it, now your back has to absorb it. That's every time you take a step. So when you're wearing a flip-flop, you're forcing your foot to, first of all, react and support you. So either if you don't have an arch, you have an arch, you have to maintain some sort of structure in your leg, but now you're also forcing it to shock absorb. Not only that, when you're wearing a flip-flop as opposed to a bare foot, you actually have to hold on to the flip-flop. So now your foot is working overtime because your toes have to hold on to the flip-flop. And while that doesn't seem like a big deal, and again, none of this is stuff, unless you're in severe pain, that you're going to notice while you're walking in flip-flops. It just feels good, it feels great. This is something you're going to sit down and be like, oh, my back, my knees, my hips. Oh, you know what? I'm starting to notice that I'm getting a little bit more sore. That is why. That is why we see an uptick in plantar fasciitis in the summer. That is why plantar fasciitis, pain on the bottom of your foot, inflammation of the plantar fascia on the bottom of the foot. We see that increase in the summer because there's so much barefoot walking going on. So it's something that you really have to pay attention to. When you're walking with a flip-flop, you're literally grabbing the thong part of it with your toes. So your foot is constantly active. So it doesn't ever get a rest like it does in a shoe, like even a flat shoe or a sneaker, where it doesn't have to constantly be on. It doesn't have to constantly be grabbing that thong just to hold the shoe in place. That's why we also see an increase in shin splints, because one, you're constantly overworking the front of your foot and your front of your or your actual shin, but you don't have shock absorption. So now you are absorbing, all that shock is going into your shin, it's going into your knees. So if you are someone who is prone to shin splints, or you're prone to plantar fasciitis and you're walking around in flip-flops, you're setting yourself up for disaster. Okay, so, and one of the things that you're going to notice right away is just soreness. Just, oh, I got to stretch a little bit. Oh, I'm a little bit sore. My feet are a little bit sore. That's what's going to present itself first when your body is not responding well to flip-flops. You're never going to respond to flip-flop or pain from flip-flop like, oh my gosh, I really am in pain. I shouldn't wear flip-flops anymore. That rarely happens. I shouldn't say never, but it rarely happens. Your body reacts, and your body shows you that it's not enjoying wearing flip-flops by having some ankle soreness, by stiffness. People describe it as stiffness. When you're starting to question whether you should walk or whether you should run because your knees are a little bit out of whack, or you're stiff in your ankles, or your hips are sore, or your back is sore, that's because of the footwear you're wearing. The best thing you can do is put sneakers on your feet and start to walk around, or some sort of supportive shoe. Not even the flats like I have on are a good way to bring that up, or a good way to support your body. If you've got that stiffness, if you've got that soreness, it's really important to switch to that supportive shoe. I know everyone hates walking on the beach in their shoes, but it is a precursor to a lot of problems. If you walk in here with hip pain, knee pain, foot pain, the first thing generally I ask is what type of shoes you're wearing, especially in the summer, because they've got to go away. Even barefoot around the house, if you're experiencing any of that, you should be wearing sneakers in order to eliminate that. If you are experiencing any sort of hip pain, knee pain, ankle pain, and want a free consultation with a doctor of physical therapy, all you have to do is call our office at 215-997-9898, and we'd be happy to get you in. Have a good night.